Welcome to Group X Appeal. Are you ready to turn your dreams into reality? Well, this week we're diving into inspired goal setting, why it's a game changer for your life, and how to make it stick.
We're going to share the incredible benefits of setting goals and introduce you to our 5-step P.O.W.E.R method to help you plan, organize, and achieve with purpose. And by the way, do not proceed if comfort zones are your favorite hangout. But if you're ready to grow and take charge of your future, well, then let's get started. Hey there, welcome to Group X Appeal. I'm Kimberly Spreen-Glick.
And I'm Terry Shorter. We're excited to bring you this hot and sweaty podcast.
With over 25 years of experience each in the health and fitness industry, we're here to share hilarious, heartwarming stories from our lives and careers.
And offer practical nutrition tips, expert exercise advice, and strategies for holistic well-being and a positive mindset.
Group X Appeal is your go-to source for inspiration, motivation, and a few laughs along the way.
So tune in and let us help you be the healthiest, happiest version of you. Welcome to Group X Appeal. This is episode 17. We are talking about goal setting. I'm Terry Shorter, and this is
Kimberly Spreen-Glick at your service.
We're so happy to be here. This is one of my favorite topics because it is one of these topics that will catapult where you are today to places where you've never even dreamed of being. But when you practice this method that we're about to share with you today, you will realize these things very, very quickly in a very methodical way, and you'll have fun along the way on this journey as well. And it's basically called the 5 steps of the P.O.W.E.R goal setting method. Mm-hmm. And I'm so excited to share this with Kimberly because she's an expert in this. As a matter of fact, I took a workshop that she created during COVID. Yep. It was a 3-hour workshop. Is that right? Something like that.
You had to put up with me for a long time.
But it was so well worth it and learned so much. I've taken goal setting workshops from different people over many, many years. But this is truly my favorite. It's very methodical.
I didn't know that.
It makes a lot of sense, but I love acronyms too. So yeah, so big feather in your cap right there because you did the acronym thing. Go girl.
I'm going.
So before we get started, though, we want to share why goal setting is important. We're going to give you 3 top-tier reasons why, and then we're going to break down the P.O.W.E.R method, and you'll want to take some really good notes. Mm-hmm. And if you're driving right now, don't take notes. Yeah. Just focus on the road. If you're working out, keep working out. Just when you get a chance, jot these down, and we're going to give you
you can always come back to it.
Yeah, for sure. And we're going to give you a resource where you're going to be able to dive deeper into the P.O.W.E.R method as well. So don't go anywhere. So
there we go.
You ready to go?
Let's do it.
Let's do this. Mm-hmm. So one of the top reasons why goal setting is really important is because it just helps you with better focus and decision making. So when you know exactly what you want to achieve, when you have a target to focus on, you know exactly where to shoot, right? You can properly prioritize and evaluate choices just based on how they align with your goals. And so I always like to say, if you don't know where you're shooting, you'll never hit the target. Mm-hmm. So focus is one of the key things that it's going to help with goal setting. Mm-hmm. So,
and I think with that focus, so many things come up along the way.
Distractions.
So distractions or opportunities, or may seem like opportunities. And you have to be able to know in your day-to-day life, as you're moving toward the vision for the life that you want, what to say yes and what to say no to.
Right.
And when you have good focus, it does help you make better decisions, mm-hmm. because you can decide, okay, if I take this opportunity or if I make this decision, is it going to move me closer to my goal or further away? It's a big deal.
For sure.
I like that one.
Absolutely. And what would be another key benefit of goal setting?
I think one of my favorites is the fact that the act of setting goals in your life really leads to personal growth.
For sure.
I've often said that we are happiest when we are on the path to becoming who we're capable of being. And so when you set goals for yourself, just the process of working toward the goals, you start to discover things about yourself. Obviously you're going to learn new things, mm-hmm. and including aspects of the area that you're moving toward the goal in, but also skills. You can mm-hmm. learn new skills and things like that. So there's a lot of self-discovery and skills learning, new ideas that you get to learn, mm-hmm. but it's personal growth in a big way. One of my favorite quotes from a favorite of both of us, mm-hmm. Jim Rohn, and it won't be a direct quote, but I used to love how he would say that when you set a goal, it's less about what you accomplish with the goal and more about who you become,
Yep.
right? And so when you set a goal for yourself, especially if you set one that kind of stretches you a bit, who you become is probably the most
important piece.
important thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So personal
Absolutely.
growth.
So personal growth for sure, and also goal setting because you've written it down, written your goals down. And again, we're going to give you this method in just a second, and you're going to love this because it just makes perfect sense. But also clarity of purpose. You know exactly, what you're doing, but more importantly, why you're doing it. And it just really allows you to identify what's truly important to you. And it just allows you, again, like you said, to stay on track towards your goal and not, get bogged down with the distractions. So having that sense of direction definitely helps. It's like a roadmap. That's what it is, basically, is when you're setting your goals. You just got to follow it. Follow the GPS. Listen to the directions.
Yeah,
That's it.
absolutely. I'm a big believer that we have an emotional GPS in us. So, and when we have our focus on the vision that we want to create for ourselves, that emotional GPS turns on to guide us. So I'm a big believer in that. So one of my favorite quotes is, as it pertains to goals, is a goal properly set is halfway reached. So that's our transition to talk about, okay, how do we properly set a goal? Now, what we're sharing with you, the P.O.W.E.R process is a process that I developed and used with my coaching clients for many years. But prior to that, when I first started coaching, I used the good old fashioned SMART. Do you remember SMART?
Absolutely.
Do you remember SMART? Have you used SMART? If you've ever
Another
been in the
acronym.
corporate world, I know another. But if you've ever been in the corporate world, chances are you've used the SMART goals. So the specific, measurable, achievable, relevant,
and then
time bound.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's a great process. I can't poo-poo the process. Did I just say poo-poo?
You said poo-poo it, but you said it with an accent. I don't poo-poo it.
So I'm not going to say, don't use SMART goals. I mean, I did for over a decade in the corporate world, and it does work. It does help you accomplish things. However, the reason I created P.O.W.E.R was because I felt there were two elements missing from the SMART goal setting.
Two very critical pieces.
Very critical.
Yep.
So I want to know from our listeners and watchers, if you're watching on YouTube, especially watching on YouTube, you can put in the comments. Otherwise, message us and let us know if right off the bat, before we get a chance at the end to tell you, what are the two elements that we share that are not included in the SMART goal setting process. So the first one is the P, because of course, like we said, it's an acronym, P.O.W.E.R. So the first step in this goal setting process, the P, is present. Now, present has two prongs, because one is, where are you here and now? I often think of us as coaches, we help people get from point A to point B, from where they are to where they want to be. So present is about really understanding in a realistic way, so not sugarcoating, but not over dramatizing. Where are you currently? What is point A for you? That is your present. The other prong to present is, as you look at where you are realistically, what do you have to appreciate right here, right now? You haven't achieved the goal yet, but right here, right now, what do you have to appreciate? Because I found if we can move forward in a state of appreciation, it's fuel for the journey for sure. And so often we set a goal, but then we immediately start feeling lack because we haven't accomplished the goal yet. And to move forward from a state of lack is not hugely beneficial, but we
almost
can,
impossible.
when we can move forward in a state of appreciation, like I said, that is fuel for the journey. So present is, where are you realistically right now in relationship to the goal you have set for yourself? And what do you have to appreciate in the present, right here, right now, when you think about the goal?
I love it. And that takes us into the O, which is outcome. Once you've determined the P first, once you've determined the present, exactly where you are, where you honestly are, then you can, as my coaches would teach me, is let's begin with the end in mind. In other words, your outcome. Once you can clearly define the result that you want to achieve, it's a lot easier to start visualizing that outcome, get excited about that outcome as well. And success is, that outcome of success is going to help keep you sharp. It's also going to help keep you focused, super, super focused. And again, begin with the end in mind. And before you know it, you will absolutely get there. But not before you move to the W.
The W is, of course, why. So we've talked about where are you and where do you want to be? So point A, point B, but now why? Why do you want that outcome? Why is it important to you? And often we will have different levels of why, because sometimes there's more of a surface why, what we would consider extrinsic.
But we got to dig deeper.
We got to dig deeper. And that is the invitation. When you think about the why for what it is you want to accomplish, go deep. Like, what is that deep internal pick you up off the ground when you're wanting to give up? What is that why? There was that Nietzsche quote that says, a man or a woman, but a man, a person, but a man who has a why can withstand any how.
Yeah.
And so what is your why? That is that third step. If you can figure out your why, then there will be days, pretty much for any of us, when we set goals for ourselves, there are going to be, especially if it's a goal that stretches you a bit, and hopefully it does, because we don't live in comfort zones. That's not where the growth is, right?
Nope.
But when it's a goal that challenges you and causes you to grow, there are going to be moments, if not days, where you think, what was I thinking? I don't even know if I want to do this anymore. I'm tired. I keep falling down. I made mistakes. I give up. And in those moments where you're beating yourself up or feeling like you've fallen backwards, those are the moments you have to reconnect with your why. Because like I said, it is your why that is going to peel you up off the ground and get you moving again.
Absolutely. And from that why, knowing exactly, getting in touch and being, again, honest with that why, it's the thing that's going to wake you up in the morning. It's the thing that's going to give you that juice, that energy, that excitement, just that inspiration.
Yes.
Right? When motivation runs out, because it will, that warm bath gets cold really quick. It's that reason why it's that inspiration that's going to drive you, be that fuel, that you're going to need, that fuel to keep that fire burning. And from there, we go into the E for experience. You have to ask yourself, okay, I'm really solid with, exactly where I am in presently. I know exactly, that I know what outcome I want to achieve. I've got my strong reason why. You got to be prepared, though, for brand new experiences in order to grow, in order to expand, in order to take that next step in your journey towards, realizing your goal. You have to take on brand new experiences that will take you out of the comfort zone. It's not going to feel good. You're going to be fearful. Undoubtedly, you're going to be fearful, but you have to be willing to go to that workshop, to listen to that podcast, to, take this, new class that's been offered and developed in order to experience that growth and in order to, again, take those steps towards your goal. So expect that. Yeah. Expect the experience, the new experiences. And you may even have to experience some old painful experiences in the process as well in order
you may have to work through some things.
Yeah, you may have to work through some things.
But you can also think about past experiences that will benefit you.
Yeah.
Because none of us are ever starting from scratch.
Yeah, we're not.
It's never a jump off point of zero. We all have this life experience and wisdom that we bring to the table.
Yeah.
So part of experience is looking back and thinking, okay, what have I been through that can help me?
Sure.
Whether it's maybe it's an aspect or a characteristic that I've gained. Maybe it's perseverance or my ability to hope or see a good vision, or skills that you've learned along the way that will help you in accomplishing this new goal.
For sure.
It's huge.
For sure. Love it. So that's a P.O.W.E.
Yeah.
Give us the R. Give us the rah-rah.
In that experience step, don't forget, Terry was talking about creating new experiences. How do we do that? Well, this is where you set your action plan. Every goal setting process has the part of the process where you set your action plan in place. So that is the actions you're going to take. And then of course, putting, when am I going to do them by? You got to put a timeline on it, which is why the T in SMART is time bound. Well, in the experience, this is where that time bound comes into play. You set your action plan and then the date that you're going to have it done by. I hate the word deadline.
Yeah.
I always think of it.
It sounds so final.
It's so final, or like due date. No, I feel like I'm in school and homework is due. But it's the date I commit to having it done by.
There you go.
There we go.
Achievement date.
There we go. So that takes us to the R. And
this is my favorite part.
I love this one, right? This one I found missing. So I just gave you the answer to one of the two that are missing from SMART goal setting. But this is revel. Revel, the act of revelry, is joyful merrymaking. It's another way to describe celebrating. Yeah. Yep. And so the encouragement here is as you're going through, not just when you get to the end, not when you've accomplished the goal, but on the way. There are going to be moments, there are going to be milestones, exactly. There are going to be actions that you take, and every win is to be celebrated, no matter how small or large. Every win is to be celebrated. Why? Because that is more. We talked about state of appreciation being fuel for the journey. Knowing your why, that's fuel for the journey. Celebrating along the way is also fuel for the journey. When you celebrate, you're going to get a rush of self-confidence, the ability to feel a greater sense of self-esteem as you're moving toward your goal. So you gotta revel. And I will say, every action you take, because action creates confidence and clarity. Okay, so every action you take, either it's going to go well, and that creates more confidence, like I did it, it worked, awesome. Or you're going to take an action and maybe it doesn't go so well, or at least not as you planned. And often we can make the mistake of judging ourselves or feeling like, oh, I messed up or whatnot. But this is where we get clarity. This is where you get to learn whatever lesson there is to learn from how things didn't go the way you wanted them to.
And recalibrate.
Yeah, exactly. Which means every action we take is either a win or it is a lesson, and a lesson is a win.
Yep.
So
Big
we
W's.
really are in a win-win situation. So when you take an action, it's celebrate. So I actually, when I first created the acronym, I was telling Terry earlier, I really wanted to use the word celebrate, but then it would have been P.O.W.E.R. And that is like the worst acronym ever. And so I, of course, used thesaurus.com.
Yeah. And it worked. It worked for
And
you.
it worked.
I
It
need a
gave me
synonym.
rebel.
I need a synonym.
Although it did remind me of a time I was talking to my brother, and I was somewhat early on in my career, about 7 years in, which I guess at this point is early on, huh?
Yeah.
And it's crazy. And I've been personal training for years and teaching classes. And I was talking to my brother, Michael, about how I was having a hard time charging a higher rate for personal training, like as high as some of the other trainers and such, even though I've been doing it for 7 years. I knew my stuff. I knew I was helping people. And he told me, he's like, you know what? He's like, you don't revel enough. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, you spend so much time kind of judging yourself and, you know, not understanding how much work you've put into this. He's like, you've got to learn to revel.
Yeah.
Instead of just being on to the next thing and, you know, thinking that you're still not good enough. He's like, you need to recognize that you have put a lot of work in. You have learned a lot along the way. You have helped a lot of people along the way. And that is something to revel in.
Absolutely.
And for some reason, he used that word.
That exact word.
Which didn't come back up for me. And he's been gone for many years now, since 2007. But when I was putting together this power process,
was back.
When that word revel came up, I'm like, oh,
That's a happy
what my
memory.
brother always used to say to me, you've got to revel.
Love it.
Yeah, it's so cool. So meant to be.
That is, I love that story. And, you know, that's one of the, I would say of the entire acronym, that's probably the most difficult for people.
Oh, yeah.
Is to revel. You know, we're all a
Absolutely.
part of what I like to refer to as the self-beaters club. We beat ourselves up. We're the hardest critics on ourselves. And so we have to just take a moment, step back, get over ourselves, first of all, and appreciate, you know, our accomplishments, big or small. Usually you got to appreciate the small ones. Stop it. So,
Truth bomb. It's true.
so one of the exercises that, you know, I love giving students is who are hard on themselves like that, because there's most people.
It's most people.
Most people, right?
Probably us included. On
Us
some
included,
days.
for sure. For sure. We are our hardest critics, for sure. But one of the best exercises, and you could try this at home, stop what you're doing just for a moment, pull over if you're driving your car, put the weights down if you're working out. You can do this on the treadmill still, or just push stop. But go ahead and hinge forward at the hips like you're about to bow down. There you go. And place your right hand up in the sky towards the ceiling, and then reach back and pat yourself on the back. That's the simplest step to experience a little bit of revel, right?
Love
An
it.
attaboy. So get used to doing that. Give yourself a high five if you need to.
I'll
You need to do
high
it.
five you.
There we go. So if you don't have someone to high five, just high five yourself.
That's right.
And celebrate, and you know, enjoy the process of your goals that you set for yourself. It's like that's the most fun part, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I celebrate with pizza, by the way, just so you know.
I'm sure you do. I have no doubt in my mind.
That's how I revel.
And I celebrate with a pedicure. So
There we go.
there's
We all
that.
have something.
With the extra massage. Don't forget the extra
Oh,
massage.
the extra massage.
You got to get the extra massage. But it really is, it is something to consider, because so often we set goals, we accomplish the goals, and then boom, we're on to the next thing.
Yeah.
We're on to the next goal. We're on,
Yeah.
okay, now what do I need to do? There's never a moment where we kind of pause and
Breathe.
and
Appreciate.
look at what we've accomplished and appreciate it. Yeah. And revel.
Yeah.
Revelry is a beautiful thing. And it does give us more, I think, inspiration as we set the next goal.
For sure.
So.
And, as a matter of fact, as you're planning out your power process, your power goal setting process, write down how you plan to revel, right? Be specific, right? Write down exactly how you're going to celebrate. If you're going to celebrate it with somebody else as well, if you're going to have them join in the revel. Who's that going to be? What's that going to look like? Where are you going to be? And it doesn't have to be a big bash or anything like that.
Yeah.
Right. But write it down so you have something to look forward to.
Definitely. And make it be as simple as taking some time to listen to some of your favorite music or read. One of my wonderful wellness leaders, Brandy, when we talked through this, she went through the power process with our group, and she's like, you know what? I forgot how much I love to read. So as I accomplish what I'm going for here, I'm going to give myself time to read. And I know for not everyone, that's
Sure.
like a celebratory thing, but for her, it filled her cup.
That's
so
great.
what are little things that can fill your cup? Maybe it is things like a massage or a manicure or pedicure or time with a friend, going to watch the sunset. There's so many different ways you can just kind of pause and celebrate. And that's what we encourage you to do.
Love it. So that is the power process. That is the power goal setting. There's a method to this madness. It makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah.
And I would truly encourage you in order to dive deeper into this process so you can really maximize your opportunity, especially. And by the way, you don't need to set goals at the top of the year on January 1st. People do their New Year's resolutions. They do goal setting, self-included. You don't have to wait until January 1st to do this. You can do this anytime. So when would now be a good time to get started? One of the best ways you can start is going through Kimberly's class. It's online. It's available to you 24/7. From anywhere on the planet, as long as you have an internet connection at Inspired Life Academy. And what else can they do? More specific instructions.
Yeah, I mean, that workshop, it details everything. It walks you through the process.
Do they get
and gives
worksheets too?
They do.
Oh,
Yeah.
You get tools.
Yeah, you get tools. You get a worksheet to help guide you through the process. So you can kind of take notes as you brainstorm, and I'll kind of walk you through the questions to ask yourself and how to brainstorm your way through the process. So I get to hold your hand virtually. It is an on-demand workshop. So we'll make sure in the show notes, you've got a link to go explore that. So if you want to dive deeper into the power process and have me guide you through step by step so that you are set up for success, then would love to have you check it out.
Love it. So we've got resources for you again in the show notes. Don't miss out on that. Super valuable tools. And we cannot wait to celebrate, to revel with you once you get all these fantastic tools, once you implement them, and then once you start realizing the goals that you set for yourself using this process. It does absolutely work. I'm excited to revisit this process as we're, approaching the end of this year.
Yeah.
I'm excited to get into my goal setting process.
Yeah. So I'm curious, I know I gave one away, but did you guess the two elements that are in the power goal setting method that are not in the SMART goal setting process? So of course, one I gave away was the revel. There's nowhere in SMART where we talk about reveling, celebrating.
There's no celebrating.
There's no celebrating.
Yeah. How smart is
Crazy.
that?
I don't think that's very smart.
You gotta celebrate.
And the other, we'll go ahead and give it to you, although hopefully you maybe guessed and put it in the comments if you're on YouTube or you want to message us, anything you want to do. But to make sure we don't close out with letting you know what the second one was, you probably figured it out, but it is the why. There's no why in the
To
SMART
me,
goal
that
setting
is
process.
that's the foundation. That is the basis
Yeah.
of solid goal setting.
Definitely.
That keeps you fired up.
Definitely. When I was in the corporate world, I remember thinking as I would go through the SMART goal setting process, and then I would have my managers set up their goal setting process through the SMART method. It was a company-wide initiative. Everyone used SMART goals. And I remember thinking, unless I can communicate to this team of managers that I support why we're doing what we're doing, no one's going to be on board with this, you know? So I would figure out what our why is and make sure to communicate that alongside the SMART process, because it wasn't a part of the process itself.
Yeah. When your why is strong enough, there's a saying, when your why is strong enough, the how-to becomes very easy. And so, I'm so glad that you have, you know, the why in the power process.
That's huge.
And again, I can't wait to go through it. We hope that you're excited to go through it as well. We've only scratched the surface here today, but you can dig a lot deeper in a more detailed, not necessarily more systematic, but deeper, a much deeper dive into this process with Kimberly. And I'm so glad that you shared it. Thank you for sharing it with me too.
Ah, my pleasure. My pleasure. Well, speaking of sharing, by all means, do share this episode with anyone that you feel could benefit from the idea of inspired goal setting. And feel free to like, download, follow us. We're on Facebook, Instagram, over on YouTube, all the platforms, of course, where you may be listening from, Apple, Spotify, we're everywhere. So continue to tune in and we'll keep showing up.
Yes, we will. Nothing can stop us.
No.
Yes. And again, we can't wait to revel with you. Let us know what you love most about today's episode, either in the comments here on YouTube or again, email us as well.
Yeah.
Reach out to us, like Kimberly said, on any of the social media platforms. Or if we have the pleasure of seeing you in person too, we love the fact that many of you have been coming up to us in
so
person.
fun.
It is.
Yeah.
You actually listen to us?
I know.
What?
And my favorite part is when they remember something embarrassing.
They remember a lot of that for some reason.
For some reason, they remember. They remember about me being in England and having people slide their fanny.
Right.
Yes, indeed. I had 3 people.
I love it.
Yeah, mention that to me.
Well,
good
that
times.
means they're
That was
listening.
good.
They're listening.
That is good. I'll take it. I'll be embarrassed for you any day.
Fantastic. So listen, power up with this power process. Make sure you check the show notes down below for the Inspired Life Academy. Kimberly will give you the breakdown there. And again, a much more systematic and deep dive approach, and you'll have fun in the process again. And we can't wait to hear you achieve the goals that you set for yourself. So that is it for today. Until next time, we appreciate you. We thank you. We love you. And we encourage you to make it a great day. And why?
Because it is a great day to have.
Yes, it is.
Mwah. Much love.